هناك مسائل عديدة جدا.
الذي يجوز إعطاء الزكاة لصنف الواحد،
لأن رسالة محمد عليه الصلاة والسلام خاتم.
الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. أما بعد، يسرني في هذه الحلقة العاشرة من برنامج اللغة الإنجليزية لطلاب وطالبات المستوى الثاني قسم الدعوة، وكذلك طلاب وطالبات قسم الشريعة في كلية الشريعة المستوى الرابع. لقد أنهينا. We have finished the 9th session. Now we are moving to the 10th session. We will start studying something about grammar. So please open your books on page 99. And we have some grammatical rules about the simple past. And we want to look at the slides, the PowerPoint slides, and we want to know something about the simple past. What does that mean? We want to know something about regular and irregular verbs, and how can we form yes, no question, WH questions, and negative. So follow with me on the slides at the PowerPoint. As you see, that skills for expressions. We have the grammar. This is the grammar. This is the simple past. The simple past tells us about something happened in the past and finished in the past. So this is the definition of the simple past. Something happened in the past and finished in the past, and it has nothing related to the present. We are going to deal with the kinds of verbs in the simple past. The first thing that we have regular verbs. The regular verbs are the verbs that we have a clear way that how can we form the past tense from the base verb. Look at the first thing in here. It says add. So we add ed. This is mostly the general point that we have. Add ed to the base form. The example in here we have land. As you see, this is the base form, and the past form of this is landed. As you see that we added ed to the base form. So this is the first thing. The other form that we form the past tense by adding d only. When it says if the verbs of the verb ends in e. So if the verb ends in e, then we add only d. Like live, so it will be lived. And as you see, the e is silent. E is not pronounced. Yani we don't pronounce it, we don't say it. Live. So the live, and the past form is lived. The third way that we form regular verbs, when we form the past form, which is change the y at the end of the verb into I, then add ed if the verb ends in a consonant followed by the letter y. The difference between the consonants and vowels, the vowels الحروف المتحركة, consonants the other sounds like the ba and ta and n and r and l. These are consonant sounds. When the y followed the consonant, then we change the y into I and we add ed. As you see, the example we have in here, marry, so marry, and the past form is married. So as you see that y is changed into I, and we add ed. The other form, how can we form the regular verbs? The regular past tense is to double the last consonant. Double the last consonant. The last consonant, we make it doubled. Two of this. Then add ed after doubling the last consonants if the verb, this is the condition, ends in consonant, vowel, consonant. You see this? So the last three letters are consonant, vowel, and consonant. Look at the word, the example, stop. So the last is consonant. The letter before this, or the sound, is O, vowel, and the one before this is consonant. So consonant, vowel, consonant. In this case, if the verb ends in this case, then we double the last letter. So we have stop, it becomes stopped. So these are the forms of the regular verbs that you need to know and to learn. So just looking at these, we add either ed or we add d when the base form ended in an e, and we change y into I when it's preceded, يعني something before this, يعني سبقت with a consonant, and double the vowel when double the last consonant when the form of the verb is v o v. So consonant, vowel, consonant. So like stop ends with t o p. So t is consonant, o is vowel, p is consonant. Then we double the p, it becomes stopped. We have the other form that's called irregular verb. Irregular معناته الأفعال الشاذة. So you need to memorize them. You can find them in the grammar books, in the dictionaries sometimes, in any other forms, sometimes in the websites that they have this kind of form where there is no specific way for this. So just memorize these, like do, or we have did. We have okay, so the form we have two forms. One regular, we talked about this. Regular, in fact we didn't talk, just I ask you to go and memorize these in the grammar books and other sources that you can check. Now how can we negate things? Negative, كيف ننفي the negative forms. The negative form, the form is didn't. We start with didn't. So of course this didn't is preceded, يعني follow, يعني سبق تسبق the subject. So we have the subject and we have didn't or did not. Didn't is contracted form of did not. So I put this to make this clear, so you can choose one of these. And we have the base form, even though that we are talking about the past tense, but in this case when we negate ننفي the form, so we use did and the form becomes the base form, يعني the present form. So as you see the example down in here, he didn't go. He didn't go. لم يذهب. So he, this is the subject, didn't or did not, you can use it if you want. And then go is the base form, and the past form of go is went. So now it's clear that how can we negate the things. We start subject, did not, and the base form. How can we make yes no question? So when we ask questions that require the answers with yes or no. So what we use, we start with did. Now I remind you that we are talking about the simple past form. We start with did plus the subject plus the base form. The example of this, if just we put this, so did, we have did, the example, did Ahmed go? So this is the question, and you see that the question ends with the question mark. So did Ahmed go? So did plus the subject plus the base form. So this is the way that how can we form yes, no question. What about the WH question? WH questions, where we ask questions about something, like about the place, about the time, about the thing. So mostly we use this WH dash and the questions. It means WH questions, the questions that require answers, not yes, no answers. So the form of this, the form, as you see, WH word, this is one word, so either we start with when or where or what, plus did, plus the subject, plus the base form of the verb. So the example of this, as you see that if we put this when, this is the WH question, and did, as you see in the form, and then the subject is Ahmed here, and then the base form of the verb is go. So when we look at this, the word, the WH word, did, subject, and the base form. The example of this, when did Ahmed go? When did Ahmed go? As you see that we cannot answer with yes or no in this case. We need to have the answer. When did Ahmed go? It means we need to know the time that when he went. So this is the forms of the simple past. As we talked about simple the irregular verbs, and we talked about the forms of the how can we form the regular verbs. We mentioned 4 of them, and we talked about how we form the irregular verbs and how we form yes no question, how can we form WH questions, and how can we negate things. We make negative, يعني منفي. Now let's go to the previous page, which is page 98. Now let's read together and find out what is required in here. It says we are on page 98. We are on page 98. Let me read with you and we find out what is required. Read these paragraphs. As you see, we have 2 or 3 paragraphs. Underline the verbs that tell about the past. Of course, as you know that we talked about the forms of the past tense. Now we want to find out what kind of forms that we have. Then answer the questions. Let's read together. On March the 1st, 1932, someone kidnapped. Someone kidnapped. So we have the form kidnapped. What happened in here? The base form is kidnap. And as you see that kidnap, we have consonant, vowel, consonant. In this case, we use the double the last consonant, so kidnap. Kidnap Charles and Anne Lindbergh's baby. The kidnapper left. Left, what kind of form in here? This is irregular form of the past tense. So this is irregular, you have to memorize this one. The kidnapper left a note in the baby's bedroom. In the note, the kidnapper asked. Asked, this is the past form, and this is regular form. For $50,000, Lindbergh paid the money. Unfortunately, on May the 12th, 1932, a man found a baby. So this is another irregular form of the verb. Found the baby. The baby was dead. In 1935, the police arrested, it's another form of in the past, Bruno Richard Hauptmann. Hauptmann said, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Many people didn't believe him. Many people didn't believe him. Here we have did not. This is the negative, as we talked about in the slides, when we say that when we have did not and we use after that the base form, which is believe. They didn't say that many people didn't believe him. They say many people didn't believe him. Hauptmann died in the electric chair. In electric chair, اللي هو on April the 2nd, 1936. So the electric chair, where the criminals are punished to be killed. So electric chair, الكرسي الكهربائي. Today, a few people believe that Hauptmann didn't kidnap Lindbergh's baby. Now, which past tense verbs are regular? Which of these? The regular, as we said, that they have clear form. For example, kidnap, died, paid. These are regular forms. Which past tense are irregular? Just find one. Found and left. So you can, if you want to check for more, yes, it's up to you. Which past tense verbs are irregular? Make a list. You can make the list. How do you form the simple past and negative sentences? How do we form this? We just talked about this. We say that we use did, not, and the base form. Now let's go to the reading on page 100. On this reading, we have, let's read together. Complete the paragraphs with the simple past tense form of the verb. So here we have the verbs in the base form, and now we want to change this form from the base into the simple past. Okay, so let's read together. Raymond Ortega started. So we have the base start. So this is started. We start with ed, which is regular verb, or regular verb. Or Raymond Ortega started the flying contest for two reasons. First, Ortega, we are asked to change these forms into the simple past. So Ortega wanted. I'm going to read these, and just I mentioned the form, the base form, and the new form that should be there. So want, it will be wanted to build friendship between the United States and France. He also wanted, so it's want, number 3, want becomes wanted, people to become more interested in flying. 5 planes becomes tried to cross the Atlantic during the 1920s, but no one. So the form B becomes no one was successful. The flight was very dangerous. Very dangerous يعني خطيرة. 6 men so died trying to win the contest. Finally, Lindbergh, so we have do, it becomes did, and this is irregular form of the verb. Lindbergh did it. After Lindbergh arrived, so I'm going to read the right form, or the form that should be in the empty spaces. Lindbergh arrived in Paris. People called him a hero. Later he became, this is another irregular form of the verb. Later he became one of the most famous men in the world. As a boy, Lindbergh was very independent. As an adult, you see here we have negative. And in the negative form, we said that we start with did and negative and the base form. So he did not change. It's not didn't change. He didn't change. He had, it's the form of have, the past form of have. He had strong opinions. Lindbergh was not really anti-American. He did not or didn't, we have the contracted form, or did not or didn't want the United States to enter World War II. He thought that Germany was too strong. Many people didn't agree with his opinions. At the time, they didn't think. At that time, they didn't think Lindbergh was a hero at all. By the end of these two readings, and in fact by the preceding talking about the grammatical rules, especially in the simple past tense, where we need it in many occasions, especially when we talk about the past, something happened in the past and finished in the past, and the form of the regular or irregular past form of the tenses, and by the knowing how to form yes/no question, how to form the negative nafi, and how to form the WH questions and yes/no questions. So I hope that we learned from these passages, and in fact we hope that not only we know these forms for the sake of the classroom, but for the benefit of using this form in our communication in everyday life expressions. And by this we conclude this session of the 10th session of this English course of the students of the second level of Da'wah and the fourth level of Shari'ah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
هناك مسائل عديدة جدا.
أنه يجوز إعطاء الزكاة لصنف الواحد،
لأن رسالة محمد عليه الصلاة والسلام خاتمة